Hello my loves, welcome back to Zeke's Lunchbox. Today we're going to go through the swords in my minor arcana set tarot deck. Lots of words. I have a video that's very similar to this where I go through the wands, kind of like a vlog style, showing you the behind the scenes thoughts that go into art making. So if you want to head over and see that video, I will pop that below. It's very similar to the video that we're going to get today. If you're new here and you don't know, I'm working on a tarot card deck. I currently have this many cards. If you also are unfamiliar, at the end of last year we did a Kickstarter to start raising some funds for the project, start getting the actual tarot deck to you guys. That's my main goal for this year. Before we get there though, remember to subscribe and like the video. It really helps out my channel since it is still very humble and small, and also it helps me make more of these videos, and it also just lets me know if you guys are interested in these vlog style behind the scenes of making art videos. Before we head into this video, however, I'm doing this new thing on my channel where I get you guys to ask me a question in the comment section below, where I kind of just give you general advice, maybe answer something that you really need help with. Ask a question below and I will answer it in the next video potentially. All right, let's get into it. Morning everybody. So I'm currently doing all of the swords, something that I've been, I'm just vlogging. Something that I've been working on I started the swords last week. These three here, hang on, let me get more light. So these three swords here, I ran into a little bit of trouble because I just honestly couldn't work out really what to do with these two. This was like an initial idea for the 5 of swords, but I'm not really loving it. I'm much more inspired by these three. I think these 3 swords I would say are some of the more recognizable ones in tarot. So I'm gonna move over to 10, 9, and 8. Yeah, I'm gonna work on this one today. So I'm thinking of doing a beetle. You know what's funny? I haven't done any insects in the tarot deck at all, and I feel like I normally do a lot of insects. I mean, there is one here, but oh, and there is also one in the Hierophant. But yeah, I think there needs to be more. So normally I've been doing these 2-pronged fork swords, but obviously as soon as you introduce a lot more of them, it's get a little bit more complicated. So I'm just gonna start off by drawing a bunch of swords and a bunch of hilts, and then I'll work from there. Okay folks, so new card, new day. I am working on the 9 of swords. As you can see, it's a very intense, tumultuous card full of despair and regret. It's a very stressful card. So, meaning of this one is upright, fear, anxiety, terror, isolation, subject of gossip, reversed, light at the end of the tunnel, recovering, letting go of negativity or stress. It's interesting how with the swords, I'm so used to working with the major arcana cards and really going in depth with those. Those cards are often the positive aspects are upright and then the negative aspects are reversed in a reading. Yeah, it's interesting to find that these swords are often the other way around. The swords are very, very heavy. It's a super heavy suit. I was looking forward the most to doing the swords just because I think they're really cool. Just from an aesthetic point of view, I was able to do some pretty interesting things with them. I don't think I showed you guys the other card that I finished. So that's the other card that I just finished a couple of days ago. Poor Mr. Bugger, he gone. As you guys know from the other cards, I am getting rid of a lot of the actual figures just for the sake of time and getting the project finished. So what I've done for the 9 of swords is, you know, just replicated the actual swords. I like how it actually feels like the most tarot-esque card so far. You know, I did read that one word to kind of summarize the 9 of swords is, you know, turmoil and nightmares. So I don't know, for me it felt like clouds were appropriate. I just added in the clouds, to be quite honest, and it felt like filled up the page a little bit better compositionally. Added in all of the hawthorn down here. I'm still figuring it out because it feels like there's no focal point. Like all of these things feel like background elements still. Whereas as an example, you know, this is your focal point or the main character for the 10 of swords. Whereas, you know, this one doesn't quite have that. So I'm trying to work it out right now. I was thinking of putting like a death moth or something in it. You know, those moths with like a skull skull behind it, but I was looking up, you know, the symbols of that moth, and it just, those two things don't quite match up. I just felt like a moth would be really neat, just like in the middle, maybe getting rid of the other elements and just having like boom, boom, two big blocks of composition. But yeah, it doesn't quite make sense for the card, unfortunately. I have no idea what I'm going to do, to be quite honest. It still needs like one last thing, you know? So I'm going to try and figure that out now. Okay, new development. I've just rendered the thorns a little bit further, popped the clouds in so they're like popping in and out, and I don't know, it just feels like the thorns aren't so separated from the clouds. Experimenting with this eye here, which I kind of want to put in a jewel casing of some sort. I don't know if you guys know those Victorian lockets that have eyes in them. I don't actually know if they're Victorian, but I'll pop some up on screen. I think that's what I'm gonna try and go for. You know, feels like that evokes the mood that I'm trying to portray. Has a dreamlike, surreal quality, lending itself into the nightmares. I've explored this locket jeweled eye thing for quite some time. I do have a collection of eye rings that I'm always trying to build up. It's just an image that I really enjoy. I have explored this idea prior with this old school piece. Maybe you guys remember this piece. I have talked about it possibly in some throwback videos where I review old art. As you can see, here's another example from 2014 where I do a sort of locket makeup compact with an eye. It's a good way of having some figurative elements in there without, you know, really blowing it all up. Apart from the actual tarot card, it's really nice to see quite a lot of improvements from old digital work to digital work now. I think there's just a lot more texture in my work. The lighting is just a little bit more considered. Composition feels a little bit more stringent and strict. Yeah, happy to see some improvements. Hello everyone. It is the 28th of December today. Technically it's a public holiday. Christmas has come and gone. It is the Boxing Day long weekend and Christmas long weekend. Obviously, I should be taking today off and still relaxing, but I am getting a little fussy and kind of sick of just being on my couch and watching movies. Before I head into it and we head over to the physical media art desk, we're currently on the computer desk. Before we head over there, I just want to talk about the cards that I have made to catch you guys up, and also just tell you about all the different meanings of each card very quickly. Then we can warm up and actually work on my sketchbook for a little bit. So over here I have the 8 of Swords, 9 of Swords, and the 10 of Swords. I've been working on these on and off over the last week. I've been very, very burnt out and tired since the Kickstarter ended. I believe it was on the 19th of December. And obviously, because I'm a woman, I have a lot of unpaid domestic labor that I have to do as well. So it's been a lot of that the last week. So I hope, you know, if you're a lady out there, especially if you're a mum, well done to you for such a difficult year. I know there's a lot of unpaid labor and a lot of mental load put onto women's shoulders. That being said, the guilt of not making any work is still lingering in the back of my head. That's just freelance life, baby. The 8 of Swords. So I'll show you the original card. This here is the original Rider-Waite card of the 8 of Swords. It has a woman bound and blindfolded with a bunch of swords around her, kind of reminiscent of perhaps a witch being burnt at the stake. That's the image that it reminds me of. In the Minor Arcana deck, I'm not doing figures for the most part in the numbered cards. The suit cards are separate. I'll pop some examples up on screen so you know what I mean. For the numbered cards, I'm mostly doing, you know, insects or things that kind of symbolize the overall meaning of the card rather than doing a figure. I like to consider the numbered cards the supporting cast to lift up the Major Arcana cards. So the Major Arcana cards are more like the protagonists in the story or the main characters, and you know, these guys are the supporting cast. I just feel like if I make everything to the same level as the other card, the Major Arcana cards, it kind of lessens them a lot, and I spent a lot of time working on those, so I want them to, you know, have their time to shine. Okay, so the 8 of Swords, This card, I think a word to really summarize it would be like being blindsided. So blindsided to people conspiring against you, maybe something bad is about to occur. I felt like a bird was a good symbol of freedom, of hope. So I believe that this card is almost a little symbol of naivety, you know, somebody who doesn't see what is coming to them. A little dark. The swords are very dark. You know, typically people think that the death card is the scariest card. It's probably the most famous card because it is so hardcore and feels final. In fact, it means the complete opposite. I have a whole other video talking about the death card, and I paint the death card and, you know, really talk about that one if you want to head over and learn more about that. I also have a whole playlist of the other tarot card videos as well. Death card is seems like the scariest one, but in fact the swords are probably the most heavy in the whole deck. Let's move over here to the Nine of Swords. The Nine of Swords, I think a word to really summarize it would be nightmares. It has a man, I think I already talked about this briefly, you know, it has a man sitting up at night who is you know, possibly having a nightmare. He's in anguish, he's upset. When I think of nightmares, I think of surrealism, so let's just not try and reinvent the wheel here and just go for things that, you know, people can recognize really easily. What I've learned, you know, after years of making art is that I'm always trying to reinvent the wheel, and it's really unnecessary because you start to disenfranchise and you start to make your audience feel a little bit separated from your art. When I just do my version of an image that we all know and recognize, it does a lot better, and I don't believe in making the audience feel scared. I want the audience to feel warm and welcomed and intrigued and opening them up to learn more. That's why, you know, I wanted to do an image that felt very synonymous with surrealism. When I think of surrealism, we think of the king, Dali. I think of eyes having some hawthorns shattering through this mirror. It feels nightmarish, you know, surrealist. That's what the card here and this image is all about. Moving on to the Ten of Swords. I don't know if I've spoken about this. The whole last couple of weeks have been, you know, all over the place, so I'm not sure. Ten of Swords has a man with 10 swords in his back. Don't overthink it. The thing is with tarot is try not to overthink a lot of things. You know, your gut instinct is often correct. What do you think this card means? It means that you're being stabbed in the back. And that's why I've got the insect here. I think we all understand or have possibly or killed a bug in our life. It feels visceral, but I've kind of taken away the violence a little bit. It's hard not to be violent when, you know, you're trying to draw a bunch of swords. But yeah, I think taking away the human makes it a little less violent, a little less scary. So that's what the bug is there for. And he looks really sad because the card is very sad. All right, you guys, we are going to do some thumbnailing for this card over here, the Six of Swords. And I will talk about this one coming up. Sketchbook time. Oh gosh, it looks so tiny on screen. Oh wow. I think it's been months since I've worked in this sketchbook. Yeah, that was the last page, or that was the last spread I did, which is on the channel. I will put that linked below if you haven't seen this video. So I've been playing around with a bunch of I've been playing around with a bunch of Poscas just because I quite like how fast Poscas are. I've been using them a little bit in the last couple of pages. This was the first experiment with them, so really trying to work out how to use it in combination with watercolor and colored pencils. Same here. This one, I just went straight in with Poscas and colored pencils. I'm still trying to work it out, but yeah, it's been okay. It's been all right. I feel like her expression could use some work because she looks a little scared and I want her to look more cheerful. But yeah, just want to catch you up with what's been going on in here. As you can see, it's still very early days in the sketchbook. I've barely cracked into this one. I might leave this page alone. Will I? No, let's just keep working on this one. This card, from memory, I believe it's, you know, just like everything else in tarot, don't overthink it. This one, I would say, hang on, this background's a little look distracting. Typical with all things in tarot, do not overthink it. I believe this one is about travel, so you know, getting either like quite literally, sometimes the cards are about like you're about to go on a trip, or it could be a spiritual voyage. Look, this is all from memory, so don't take my word for it. I'm still learning about each card, but from what I can remember, I think that's what this one is about. What I'm going to do with this card is, like with all the other cards, I've been taking away the figures. As I said before, I already explained that. But what I'm going to do with this one is, I think I'm going to do a little swan boat. You know those like boats that you go on when you like paddle them in a lake? I think I'm gonna do a swan boat with the swords in it. Really, really simple stuff. So I'm going to do a couple of swan studies just so I really get the face right. Then we'll go back to digital. Let's just do a little bit of sketching, get into it.
Accidentally knocked over his suit of armor and the spear went right through the suckling pig.
For the record. Get this one thing clear.
You had it already. How did you know I'd even be here?
Because I recognize the same spirit in you as someone else I know.
Who?
Me.
New year, everybody. So, I haven't drawn for a couple of days. Too busy enjoying life and relaxing. Something that's very necessary. But just wanted to show you where we're up to with this Six of Swords. I'm really hoping I can just knock this one out today. Obviously, I have to finish the ends of the swords here and then also change all the directional light on each individual sword. I also want to just alter all the shine on the swords as well. Maybe even alter them a little bit more and give some of them more of a hilt on the top. Add the shadows of the swords as well. And then I have to do the watermarks and some highlights. And then I also have to finish the wing over here as well. Pretty simple, not too much to do, but yeah. Just wanted to let you know where we're up to, and I will check in with you guys once this is finished. And then we can chat about the last two cards. everyone. So we are doing the last of the numbered suits in the swords. This is what I have so far. The card is... This is the original card, the original 7 of Wands. So someone stealing, hello, focus. Somebody stealing the swords over here, and who better to steal some swords than a cheeky monkey? I wanted him to be very colorful and kind of utilize all the colors that I have been currently using in the swords. The 7 of Swords, yeah, wait, hang on, let me count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah. Just focusing on the expression first. Trying to make him look a little maniacal, a little cheeky, still very cute. Yeah, that's where we're up to. I'm hoping I can just finish this off today because I'm very, 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 very behind. Let's do it. Hello folks. Okay, hi tripod. Okay, so new day, almost finished with this current artwork. The last one in the swords suit. I'm not doing the court cards just yet. I think some of those will require single videos because they're a little bit more complicated and they deserve their time to shine. But yeah, this is what the card is looking like so far. Pretty happy with this one so far. Let me pop you down. Pretty happy with this one so far. I think it's one of the better ones in the swords. The swords are a lot more complicated, to be quite honest. By complicated, they require me putting an actual figure in there, so some kind of animal, bird, insect, what have you, rather than just being, I kind of wanted them to more be like still lifes, just because it speeds up the process a lot more. Yeah, I think that's why I've kind of slowed down recently, and also the holiday break as well, and I deserved a break. But happy with this card. It really feels very Zeke, very mystical, really cute. I think all the different colors in the fur are really sweet. I'm just trying to work out the hands and the feet currently. Incredibly difficult trying to get monkey feet and hand images as references, and also very hard to break the habits of drawing human hands. And generally monkeys have longer palms and they're a lot skinnier as well, so drawing human hands and feet are already really hard, so when you have to manipulate them even further to replicate a monkey hand and feet, very difficult. But I will check in with you guys soon, and then we can do a recap of all the different cards and compare them, just like last time in the Wands video. I ran into a couple of roadblocks, especially with the feet. I just felt like the curled up feet down the bottom here just looked weird. Especially if you look at it from a really zoomed out, just the silhouette of it. I don't know. I mean, the curled up feet are cute, but the body language is almost coming out too scared for me, and I kind of wanted his feet to be a bit more planted, a bit more settled in, so I don't know. We'll see what those feet look like. So I quickly sketched up this drawing here on the iPad Pro. First time using these Max Packs brushes on Procreate. Really loving the sketching brushes. It really simulates drawing with like charcoal, like doing gestural drawings. So really good. I will link that in the description if you're interested in buying. Not sponsored or anything, just trying to help out a fellow artist. You think they're really good brushes and they are worth your time and money if you want to expand and get some more brushes on the Procreate app. But yeah, that's what I've drawn. And then when I place them over, it's a little hard to see obviously because it's a bit clouded and complicated looking, but you can see here with the feet just planted on the ground a little bit more. I think they're a lot funnier. I think monkey feet and gorilla feet especially are so strange because, you know, when you're used to drawing human hands and feet, the proportions are just slightly different, and it's really hard to retrain your brain to be like, yeah, that is what correctly what it looks like, but it doesn't feel right. So I went back and sketched the feet because I needed to do like a line art sketch because it really just helps me figure out the shapes, and it really helps me think of everything a lot more objectively and think of things as blocks, as in like cube sort of 3D blocks. It really helps me just build that way. Gonna pop those in, and then this is finished. Howdy, folks. All right, now I know not all of these have been shown in this video, as in the process hasn't been shown in this particular vlog, but you know, since all the numbered cards in the swords are finished, I just thought why not show you guys the comparisons. Maybe you guys don't follow on Instagram, maybe you don't have an Instagram or any other socials that you follow me on, so, and you know, YouTube's the only place, why not show you what the other cards are looking like. One of the cards is going to be a secret for now. Over the next, you know, couple of months finishing up the deck, I will have to keep a couple secret just so I have some extra art to show when we run the Kickstarter campaign, but you'll just have to keep following along to see the reveal for all of them. So let's see all the cards. Alright you guys, we are at the end of this week's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys took a thing or two away and learned some things about not just the art process, the thought process, and also learned about a couple of the swords and their meanings. We're doing something new on this channel where I get you guys to ask a question every week. Comment down below, ask a question regarding art, advice, what have you when it comes to art career stuff. You guys ask a question, I answer a question. The way I'm going to choose the question is by how many upvotes a comment has. So if it kind of looks pretty popular and people are interested in it, that's the question I'm going to go and lean towards. So if you see something that you want answered, make sure you interact with that comment so I know that you guys are interested in it. Now, if your question doesn't get answered this week, be persistent and hopefully I'll get to it eventually. But if you want your question answered a little sooner and you're not leaving it up to chance, consider becoming a patron. I go through art advice and art critiques there every month and do a lot more personalized one-on-one mentoring and advice sessions over there. Big shout out to all the patrons who keep the lights on. We need to keep building the Patreon because the more I work on this channel and tarot art, the less actual work, like paid work, I focus on. So I really want to build up the Patreon as much as possible. It really helps the channel. Okay, let's get into this week's question. So this one is from Emma Stroll. Hope I pronounce that correctly. I'm very sorry if I haven't. What do you think the best social media platform for artists to post and try and sell art on? Unfortunately, it's still Instagram. I haven't found much follow through with many other platforms apart from YouTube. Instagram and YouTube I put a lot of effort into because it has the most follow through in terms of people going to my website, and it just helps the most with traffic, to be quite honest. YouTube takes a really long time to focus on and build, and it might take forever to build an audience. So if you're really dedicated to the game, something to consider. I personally wouldn't actually recommend a lot of people going on YouTube because now with TikTok and all the video stuff on Instagram, I think just focusing on the micro platforms is probably more worth your time. Some advice that I would have probably given myself all those years ago. Instagram still has is still the best platform in terms terms of follow through onto a store, especially with all the linked things that you can add onto a profile. You can link your shop and link the product to the post on Instagram. And then especially now with the new shopping tab, I know everybody poo-poos on the shopping tab, but it still helps with advertising and helps keep it in the mind of buyers. Like they know that it's a product that's available. So I would invest a lot more time in Instagram, to be quite honest. It's unfortunate. It's such a bloated platform already. That's just the name of the game. If you want more traffic to your store, however, I recommend popping a blog on there and making posts that are things that people would search for. So Mother's Day presents, link all the presents that you have on your store and make a blog post about that. So people will Google that, and you could always pump some dollars into the Google system to rank higher on Google. That could help with traffic. Pinterest is also really good with traffic. We all like to save our inspo and possible shopping on Pinterest, and I have gotten a little bit of interest through Pinterest. And then also lastly, a mailer as well. But all the other things I get like 1 or 2 follow throughs to a link, whereas on Instagram and YouTube, it's like 50 follow throughs. All right, you guys, I hope that helped. Make sure you ask a question down below and I will chat to you guys next week. Catch you later. Bye.